right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Elio Piedra, and you are enjoying the Elio Piedra Podcast. What a pleasure and privilege to be with all of you here. As every week, we bring great human beings. That's the first thing. That's the most important thing. Great human beings that they are making a difference. They are great leaders. They are great influencers. They are artists. They do it all. And today, what an honor. I have the woman. I had the one and only someone that is not only an incredible artist, a great human being, is a great friend, but also she's making a difference in multiple industries, okay? And on top of that, she's an educator. She's an immigrant like me, and so proud of her and everything that she is doing and developing within, for, and with our community here in Gainesville, Florida. Because yes, this is a podcast about spotlighting those individuals within our community. So without further ado, please let's welcome the one and only Maria Leite.
Thank you. Muchas gracias.
Oh, de nada. Mucho obrigado.
That's good.
Is that? I don't even know if I said it right, but I just said it. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, and thank you so much for having me here.
No.
I really enjoy being here with you. You know that, and it's always an honor.
Well, the honor is all mine, and I really appreciate you, your time. Thanks for sharing your presence with us here at the studio. Our production team that is amazing. They are all saying, "Wow, she has such a personality," And since the first time that we were promoting your amazing exposition, I remember at the museum, we were amazed actually by your talent and the power of giving that you have. How you give to the community, how you express your talent, your art, and talking about that, right? I want to talk about your art and everything, because that's how we connected at first, right? That's how we connected. So let's talk about Maria Leite, the artist. And when I mean the artist, I mean like I saw one of the most creative paintings that day when we went to the museum. How your career started as an artist, going back to Brazil.
Okay, so I started my career as a set designer in Rio. I studied set design, and I worked as a set designer in professional theater for many years. And I taught in a theater school. And actually, my experience teaching in the theater school, teaching set design for kids who in a very low socioeconomic status community, the kids would go there. Not only the kids, we had like from first graders to senior citizens going there to learn about theater. So we had some courses that I taught, like the puppet theater, stage makeup, and set design and history of art.
Wow.
And so in addition to all of that, I also worked with professional theater with like big names. 2 days ago, watching Fernanda Torres winning the Globe, the Golden Globe with the movie that he's doing was very exciting to me, because it brings this hope that culture in our country is having some visibility internationally, which was always the case. But anyways, so that's when it started. And then I worked as a set designer until 2005, when I moved to the United States. And until 2020, I had this long hiatus that I didn't do any art. And in 2020, with the pandemic, I went back to drawing. And I was drawing every day. And I realized, and I said, oh, that's such a meditative activity for me. And then I joined the Gainesville Fine Arts Association, which is a great space in town for a community of artists. And I started to participate in their online shows. And then we went back from the pandemic, from the lockdown. And I continued to to show my work there, and that's how it went back to. I went back to the arts with painting, collage, and photography now more than set design. But that set design is how I started.
That's awesome. Set design. So basically, you used to design like sets for different
For theater, yeah.
For theater specifically.
Yeah.
Wow. And I bet. I mean, that sounds easy, but I bet it wasn't that easy, right?
Yeah, it was not. It was not very easy, but it was very exciting. I miss that every day. I miss working as a set designer every day of my life.
That is awesome. So let's talk about. You just mentioned when I came to the United States. So let's talk about how was growing up in Brazil. Okay, for Maria Leite, and also how do you think that you growing up in Brazil had an influence, obviously, in you as an artist here and also as an educator, that now later on we're going to talk about that part. How was growing up in Brazil?
Oh, growing up in Brazil was like typical from kids who grow up in their grandparents' house. For vacation was to go to grandparents' house with all your cousins there, because we were kids who lived in an apartment. Until I was 8 years old, we lived in an apartment. So we were always looking forward for vacation time so we could go to our grandparents' house. They had like 3 large mango trees in the backyard, and we just ran around the trees. We would get the mangoes and eat the mangoes. And I remember the fresh linen in the cords, like in the sun for the laundry to dry. And I remember running across this fabric. I remember the smells, and I remember when it started to rain, we would lay down, and the drops of rain would design our silhouette on the concrete floor. And it was like, I was probably 5 years old during this time, and we enjoyed that. Very simple things in life.
Yeah.
And I think what I brought with me to my experience today, and I think you probably relate to that as an immigrant, we bring a lot of different perspectives. I was raised with a lot of creativity. My mother is a very creative person. Like, if we didn't have like a lot of options for food at home, she would create something like out of nowhere with leftovers. And so I think I bring this being resourceful, like being able to find, okay, we don't have a solution to this problem here, so how can we resolve? And like communication, talking to each other and getting different perspectives together. I think it adds so much when you act as a community, as a group of people to in the work environment and family environment. So I think that's what one of the things that I brought, a different perspective, like resourceful about in different contexts.
That's so awesome. When you said the linen, and the laundry and all of that, I am actually seeing this. I don't know from Havana, but in Havana, in the balconies, a lot of people used to put the linen of the clothes after the laundry just to dry.
Yes, yes.
In my mind, I had just seen this. That was so cool. Thank you for mentioning that. Because that brings back
good memories.
Good memories. All right, good memories. And now you said that obviously you love being a set designer, and I know you love everything that you do, but if we talk about inspirations, who inspired you to take that path? Within many things, like theater, arts, music, there is a lot about this, designing. Who inspired you in that journey?
I think I get inspiration to go in different directions from different people, circumstances, environments, contexts, family members. I think a lot of things and a lot of people inspire me in different ways. Like, I get a lot of strength from the members in my family, my mother, my father. They're very different people, but they combine so well. Like, all the characteristics, the personality that he has are so different than my mother's that they end up like fit. It's like a puzzle, like the two pieces that fit together so perfectly. And then from my sisters, I get this strength as well. Like they are younger than me, but they had different experiences in life that I respect a lot. From some of my friends and people I had the opportunity to work with, I learned different things. And yesterday I talked to a colleague at work. Oh, that was this morning. We had a meeting, and I talked to one of my colleagues. Yesterday we had a bit of a challenging situation, and he handled that very well. And then I told him, I said, that's a good example to follow. So that was a very good way to resolve the problem. So, and I think that's how we start learning more about people in the moment of a crisis. And I think these little things that happen on a daily basis inspire me as well. Like, oh, that was cool. I like that. I'm not a person I'm not a follower. I don't want to be an influencer either. I'm all about working together, bringing people together, acting together.
You know, that's a great perspective, and obviously that says a lot about you as an artist, but also as a human being, as a the person that you want to be, the person that you are. Like how you notice the little things, right? Sometimes we go in life, you know, in a work environment, even in our family. How we actually debate with one another, how we argue with one another, even during topics that we don't necessarily agree on, right? And we don't pay attention. And actually, you said, "Wow, that was cool. You handled that really well." That's an awesome, example. We need more of that. And talking about creativity, you just mentioned creativity. You just mentioned values, strength, all of that. How was it coming to Gainesville? How was it coming to Gainesville as an immigrant, right? Obviously, from another perspective, that's another word that I love that you mentioned. You bring in multiple different perspectives. And immigrants, we have a very special challenge. Okay, you're learning not only the language, but the culture, many things. How was it for Maria Leite adjusting to Gainesville? And how was the response of the community?
Yeah, Gainesville was not my first stop. My first stop in the United States was Pensacola.
Oh, wow. That's a way, I think it's a little bigger, right?
No, Gainesville. It's smaller.
Oh, it's smaller?
Yeah, it's a very small town. It grew a lot since I moved there. But I moved to Pensacola in 2005. And it was a change, a drastic change. Moving from a big city like Rio de Janeiro and moving to Pensacola, a very small town, very, very different mindset. So that took some adjustment beyond the language, but it was an interesting experience. And then moving to Gainesville in 2015, I moved to Gainesville. It was an adjustment because that was the first time in my life I was living in a town that didn't have the beach.
Oh,
that was not on the shore. And so I had to adjust to the air, to the fact that I would have to drive over an hour to get to a beach nearby. So, but it was an adjustment. I moved to the northwest side, and then when I moved to downtown, I think I started enjoying more Gainesville, like walking around and learning more about the neighborhood surrounding the building I live, and getting more engaged with the art community as well. So it's always an adjustment, but it's always doable.
That's awesome. So let's talk about your about Maria Leite as an educator. You mentioned that you're also you're working within the department at UF. Is that right?
I work in the College of Dentistry now.
Talk to me about this now, how this is, because that's something that I actually didn't know, and I'm learning. So how is that? How you liking that environment, and how, talk to me about that, because I am learning about this.
So it's just like, I think I have, when you mentioned that I'm an artist, I'm an educator, so far that's what I am, but maybe I'll become something else in a couple of years. I like to move to different things.
That's awesome.
And I think I started my career as a set designer, and studying the arts gave me the foundation to learn so many other things. Education brings you another set of foundational skills that you can apply in multiple environments. So I moved to Gainesville to work in the College of Education. I worked in the College of Education for 6 years, had a great experience there. Moved to the main administration, had another great experience there. I learned so much about leadership, like on a daily basis, observing other leaders. Sometimes I was in meetings and people thought that I was taking notes about the meetings. I was taking notes about how the leaders were conducting the meetings. And I'm learning about how you conduct the meetings. And so recently, last July, I applied for a position in the College of Dentistry, which was a big challenge for me because I'm not a dentist. And I never worked in the medical field. Like, I always worked in the educational field, in the arts field. And so when I started working there, first thing that I realized, there are a lot of people from, it's a very diverse environment, a lot of people from all over the world, and a lot of people from Brazil. And so the first thing is I felt that I was so welcome there, like just for the fact that I could speak my language.
Wow.
Sometimes I do entire meetings with my supervisor in Portuguese, and that helps so much with the comprehension of things. Awesome. Even though I'm living in the United States for over 18 years, and my English is still not 100%. So having the opportunity to discuss in the professional environment using your first language is helping me so much. So it's being a very nice transition for me to the health sciences. And I'm learning a lot, again, about dentistry. So I'm using the term. So yesterday we had a meeting and my supervisor looked at me and she said, "Oh my gosh, you learned so much already."
That's awesome. And you said like you were talking in Portuguese, so I never thought about having so many like people from Brazil in just one department. That's awesome.
Yeah, there are a lot of people from Brazil in general at UF.
Yeah, at UF. Wow. Yeah, I know in Gainesville for sure. I actually have done Brazilian parties here, and they are, oh my gosh.
We know how to party. Sorry.
Yeah, you know to party, and you never want to leave. You know.
Yeah, never. One more.
One more, and then it's 1 hour after, 1 hour later, one more.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
Oh my goodness, that's awesome. You know, and I really appreciate that. I think that it is important to share all of these experiences, like and also share with people that are watching this the fact like we are gonna change at some point, and we need to give ourselves the opportunity to change, because that's, for example, what you just shared. You are an artist, you are a set designer, but why not? You can be something else. You know, you don't have to live inside a box. Literally, you can diversify your talents and learn. Right? If you don't know something that it is needed, maybe you can learn it, because what I know for sure is like you can learn it. It's possible.
Yeah, it is. I always use my parents as an example. When they're living in the United States for 10 years. 11 years this year. And they moved here when they were 65 years old.
Oh, wow.
They left their life in Brazil, sold everything, moved here because the 3 daughters are in the United States, so they moved here. And they learn English. They have like their independent life. They do everything. They go out, they have a group of friends. They learn to speak English. 65. So 65. That's another inspiration, right?
Right there. Wow. Let's shout out and kudos to your mom and dad. By the way, I met them and they are beautiful. They look so happy together and so wonderful. So like, I want to look like them when I had that age. You know, happily married and enjoying life and dancing. They were dancing and having fun with you. So that was so awesome. I'm gonna ask you, going back to the art, if you could collaborate, with any artist, living or past, who would it be and why?
So there is an artist. He passed, I think, in 2022. His name was Sam Gilliam, and African American artist, abstract artist. And I would love to collaborate with him unfortunately, I only heard about him once again when I went back to the arts and I started to do a lot of abstract work. And then I watched one video of him, like in social media, something popped And it was him being interviewed about his artwork. He has already passed at this point. And one of the questions the interviewer asked was, is art political? And he said, yeah. And the interviewer asked why. I said, because it challenges you to move from where you are to understand a different perspective. It breaks the point of normality, it makes you question things. And so I think I do try to do that, to replicate that when I do abstract art. A lot of my abstracts have narratives. They have stories.
Okay, and now I'm going to ask you this question. Going into that topic, have you ever felt the responsibility to do that? You, Maria Leite, to use your art as an expression of freedom or a different way of thinking?
Absolutely. I think that's what art is for me. It's the most perfect expression of freedom. When I'm doing art, it's like it literally feels like I'm flying. There are no boundaries, there are no limitations. And now with painting, I'm not a painter. I was trained as a painter when I was very young, before I went to college. But I feel that now I'm getting to the point that I'm free to do my experimentations. And when I say free, I'm not talking about external forces that would prevent me to do. I'm talking about my state of vulnerability and being okay with that. And that's me not imposing any limitations on my freedom. And so that's interesting. First time that I articulated that. So thank you for the question.
Absolutely. That's what I'm talking about. That's great.
Thank you for not asking me for a script.
No, it's just in the times that we're living in, it is so important, right? So important to, first of all, be free with yourself from within, because this is what now we're getting into a topic that probably is going to be the most important next 5 minutes of this episode and this podcast, because right now we are out there talking about if you are a Democrat, or you're a Republican, or you're independent, or whatever. And the truth of the matter is, who cares? If you are not free from within, who cares? That's what I mean. I am actually I am right now very mindful of this moment and listening to what you just shared with me, and this just came out of my mouth, and I'm telling you guys, it doesn't matter what you are or what you say that you are, if you are not free from within, and what you just shared, feeling vulnerable and being able to share that with everybody else. That can be through arts. And obviously, it can be painting, it can be music,
yes,
it can be dance, but it's so important that to be that way. That's what I mean. It doesn't matter what's the tool, what's the path I use, because we live, again, in times that sometimes we don't value that. Value being yourself, being present, and most importantly, trying to heal also from within and being free with yourself and not being so focused on this and that. When I went to your exposition that day, it was a little bit of everything. And that's what I loved. And of course, we had to have our Afro-Brazilian influence and all of that. Because me, as a fellow Cuban, I love Afro-Cuban and Afro-Brazilian, and I love it all. But I actually appreciate the freedom of the expression, and every time we say that, people will think in politics, but it's not necessarily that way.
No,
it's more about your emotions and how you feel, and that person that that you are, and through art you can express that. there is so many things that in so many ways we get censored. I mean, sense God, not in this country, but I mean in the world, around the world, you know, all over the place. And I just appreciate you sharing that. I mean,
we self-censor as well.
Right?
We
Yeah.
self-censor. We do that to ourselves. So I think that's the big point, is understanding what freedom means to you.
Yeah.
Understanding what being free means to you when you go out in society. What does your freedom represent to others? And like thinking about your experiences in relation to others. Everything is so relative. Like freedom can be a very relative concept. I think we both of us came from countries that experience dictatorships. And I think we have a different perception of what freedom is on a daily basis.
Definitely, and what you just said it right. What is might be freedom for me, maybe it's no freedom for you. You know, what is freedom for me may be oppression for you.
Yes.
So it's very, very interesting. But if we go back to the main point, what actually inspired me to share what I just shared with all of us here is that at the end of the day, being free from within, you know, it's the most important thing of all, obviously, and hopefully, let's pray that we have a country, you know, or one day, for example, my country can be like as free, at least as the United States. Wow, what a great concept, you know. And I promise this wasn't here at all. You know, you inspired me to share this because you're awesome. You inspire me. So let's talk about fun. What do you like to do when you are not designing, painting, educating, when there is no UF, when there is none like that? What do you like to do in your free time?
I like to walk. I like to watch a movie. I like to go out and have a glass of wine with my friends and talk about various things. And enjoying good people, or enjoying a good puppy and a good dog, or and I think like small things. Like I was in Pensacola for the holidays with my family, and I came back to Gainesville because I went to Brazil on Thanksgiving, and since I came back from Brazil, I was not able to organize my life. So I went back to organize my closet. So on the January 1st, I was organizing my closet, and I was so happy because it's not something that I have the opportunity to do every day, and it's something that needs to be done.
Yeah.
And so, like, simple things, organizing my house, painting something new. No, but that's out of the arts that you asked me. I think just going back to something you mentioned, like the mindfulness aspect, which is something else that I started working on, like working on art-based approaches for as mindfulness approaches. I think it is so important to develop to engage in mindfulness activities and develop the awareness of who we are to be able to heal whatever we need to be healed internally. So I think this mindfulness piece is something that came into my life in the last couple of years, and it was very important as well. And so I just wanted to go back to that. So one thing that I like to do when I'm not painting is to meditate.
Oh, wow.
And I learned to meditate, and it is absolutely incredible when you get into it and you start seeing the benefits. It helped me in so many realms in my life. And I'm not saying I'm perfect. I still lose it every other time. But like, if I know now how to recognize when I'm about to lose it. So I take a minute. I do literally take a deep breath, and then I move on. So it helped me to respond instead of react to things.
To be more in control.
Yes. So it helped me a lot in the work environment. It helped me a lot with my family, with my relationships. And it helped me to recognize when I need a moment to be with myself. So I think I do that a lot. I said, no, I don't need to go out. I need to be at home and take some time off everything.
That is awesome. That is awesome. I am gonna keep talking a little bit about your favorite stuff and some fun stuff. And what's your favorite Brazilian dish? Because if we have an artist from Brazil here, it might if I don't ask you this question.
Yeah, I like so many things. I love feijoada. Feijoada is like the black beans with the pork meat.
And how you say that? Feijoada.
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 It's so funny. I'm not laughing of you. I'm laughing because you're repeating I have a very thick accent from Rio de Janeiro. And so every time I teach someone to say something, the person repeats exactly with my accent.
No, but I love it because that means I'm learning in the proper way, right?
From a carioca. Yes.
Right. Wow, feijoada. That's awesome. I haven't had as much Brazilian food as I wish. We need a good Brazilian restaurant.
We do need one.
I was in Brazil, here in Gainesville, Florida, where we are actually right now recording this podcast. So feijoada, is that right?
Feijoada.
Feijoada. Okay, I got it. Oh, I will get it in the future. So what an awesome time. Let's talk about upcoming projects. We were talking behind the mics about some projects, some exciting things that are going to be happening, some events that you are involved with, some colleagues of yours. Let's share with us here what is happening this month.
Okay, so this month I joined recently a group of artists in Gainesville, and one of the members of this group is putting some shows together, and this is the second show that I don't know if I'm in the show yet. So I submitted my paintings, and I hope I'll be in the show.
Of course you will. Of course you will.
And so it is a group of artists, and we had a show last month, and we'll have another one on January 31st and February 1st. And it is a small gallery in downtown called the Top Secret Space.
Wow.
It is next to the Top. There's the Top, the Woolly, and the Top Secret Space. And it is going to be a 2-night show. And hopefully I'll have a piece there.
Very nice. Well, we want to know because we want to go and see it.
Yeah, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
I'll share more details. So it's going to be January 31st and February 1st for sure.
That is awesome. And do you know what's the art about? Is it abstract? Is it more?
It's a mix of everything. The name of this particular show is going to be Heavy Hours, but for this gallery, they don't have like a narrative or a theme. They do have a name, and they open space for people to submit. And I think somehow their criteria to choose the artwork is connected to the theme. It's my second show, so I'm not very familiar with the process on how they choose the pieces. But I think it is mostly everybody who submits is like a great group of artists. I'm learning so much from each one of them.
That's
but
awesome.
It's a mix of photography, painting, and prints. It's a mix of different languages.
And talking about a group of artists and connecting, if people want to connect with you and your art, where to go?
My Instagram page, which is at mleite.art. And I have most of my work there.
That is awesome. And last but not least, if you could give one piece of advice, okay, to any artist, people, new artists, upcoming artists, or artists that they've been there for a while and they are even popular, one piece of advice for all artists out there.
It is so difficult for me to give advice because I have so many questions as an artist and as a person. But I think it's just being honest to who you are, being kind to yourself, be free to experiment, and work on paper. I have rolls of paper in my house, and I open and I just throw paint, and I start with something in mind, and then suddenly you have that moment, wait a minute, then you flip everything, and then you start something new. And that's the beauty of doing art. And then look at your work, evaluate, and think about a narrative, create a story. but be honest to yourself. Never forget where you came from. And that would be my advice.
That's awesome. Never forget where you came from. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been enjoying the Elio Piedra podcast. Maria, you had a good time?
I had a great time.
Okay. You see, Maria were asking me, how is it going to be? You are great. Let me tell you, you are great on camera. You are great. And you are so much fun. And we all love to hear, us, the girls behind the camera, production over there. You are so awesome. And you know what I like? That you are just that. You are honest. You are you. All the time, like you are very it's hard to describe it. You have such a personality that people want to be around you. We want to be around you, Maria. Can we go with you now when you leave? We want to be with you. You know what I mean?
Thank you. So that's my turn to say the same things about you, and thank you so much for having this space that make people like me to feel exactly the way you described. Not everywhere we can feel that we are ourselves without feeling inappropriate. So this is a very important space, Elio. Thank you so much once again for having me here.
Appreciate it. And it's your house. In the end, we say the Elio Piedra Podcast, where la comunidad speaks. I love what you say. Thank you for sharing that. Muchas gracias. Remember, guys, please subscribe and click that notification button right there. You can do it. Come on. Don't make me beg. You can do it. Click the notification button. And do not forget that every Wednesday at 7 p.m. o'clock, this is a bilingual space in Spanish or English. Or, one day Maria is going to teach me Portuguese, I am going to say Portuguese because I love it. I think it's probably the most sensual, romantic, when I love bossa nova,
Yeah.
And I love my Brazilian artists, Ivan Lins and Jovine and all that. Oh my goodness. I think Brazilian music is awesome. So one day, probably I can do a whole podcast in Portuguese. I don't know. No promise.
Let's do it.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. We're going to see you next time, Maria. Thank you again.
Thank you. That was awesome. Were you still recording? My dad was awesome.